Are you stressed and filled with anxiety like I am? Maybe in a bit of pain from that car accident you had a few years ago? Well, the sponsor of today's episode, Hempville CBD, has us covered. They have the highest quality products created by chemists and doctors. Hempville carries everything from CBD to THC dispensary grade without those despicable dispensary prices. Order your Delta 8, 9 edibles and vapes along with the THCA flower and get free shipping when you spend $50 or more at hempvillecbd.com. Check out the link in the description for more details.
Welcome to the Filmmakers, the double feature podcast. Join us as we unravel the interwoven experience of the continuous conversation of cinema. Take part in pairing movies with their cursed counterparts and movies that share DNA, or even pairing questionable duos by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/filmmakers. We offer tiers at the $1, $5, and $20 level. With our $5 tier, we grant the ability to request films to further the discussion. So grab some popcorn, sit back, and get ready to join the 100-year conversation. This is the Filmmakers, where movies are more than just entertainment, they're an experience.
They're an experience
all around you. And welcome back to another episode of the Filmmakers. Thank you for joining us today. I'm joined today by my hand-waving friend, Lucy.
Hello, everyone. Is that because I'm a conductor? What are they called? Composer? Conductor?
A conductor, yeah. The composer is who writes.
Or because I'm a wizard?
Oh, I like that.
All right.
You can join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for brand new episodes of the Filmmakers. Some recent episodes include Netflix's own Chicken Run Dawn of the Nugget and Leave the World Behind, our Grinchmas special, the new Wonka, and the overly muted A Star is Born. Not quitting, am I?
You're not quitting.
Remember to stop by on our Patreon to leave a comment, concern, thought, idea, inquiry of any kind. Leave nice reviews, comments, likes. Help us out. But today we are discussing the 2023 redemption, Bradley Cooper's Maestro. Yeah?
I like that.
This movie was not going to be one we touched on anytime soon, at the very least, when I first caught wind of it. But it then started to appear on just a lot of top 10 2023 lists, including the American Film Institute and stuff. And I was just like, okay, I guess we're stopping here. And it's, it's on Netflix, so easy to grab. So I came at this movie with total zero expectation. I guess until we watched A Star Was Born, then I was like, there's something here with Bradley Cooper. I'm not sure if I'm liking it quite yet, but I am happy to report back on Maestro that I think it's a very good film.
Yes.
I don't think it's amazing or anything. I think the general reception reflects that pretty accurately, and I'm right in line with a lot of it, where I think it's a super competently made movie, and I'm just more confident that the next few films Bradley Cooper gets his hands on are going to be potential, just complete bangers. I think there's a lot to look forward to with Bradley Cooper as a director.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm excited to see what he has to do next. We knew he had something there with A Star is Born, and, maybe he didn't hit it, but this was definitely a big step up. So who knows, maybe his third film is freaking awesome.
He likes the dangerous part of filmmaking, and that's creating characters and then also embodying the character. And so he's really, it's quite the ambitious mission he has to try to bring these characters to life in a really almost, I don't want to say caricature kind of way, but kind of just there's a little bit of I'm not sure how to describe it, a little bit of melodrama that just sits with me really well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, he definitely brings some kind of
a mood.
Yes, some kind of mood to his characters, for sure. And I hate to say that they're real, but he's dealing with thematically real world things, like love and marriage and whatnot. So he's definitely bringing that mood, that melodramatic,
the impact of what the other half can do to the individual
Yeah.
in the relationship or something.
Yes.
And feel like we get that much more in an effective manner here than A Star Is Born. Obviously, if you want to go listen to our episode, we're not kind to A Star Is Born.
We're not.
But I am really surprised by the almost to a complete degree we get the perspective of Felicia.
Yeah, and I think that's reflected, at least on paper, in the poster. She, if you read it from how you read from left to right, she's mentioned first. And in the wiki page, when you go to the cast section, she's mentioned first. So
I didn't realize that. Yeah.
Yeah, I found that interesting. When I was researching into this film, because I didn't get that initially. And now it's pretty obvious, but yeah, that definitely sparked that thought in my head, seeing her name come up first in the casting.
It's really quite a bold take on the story of Leonard Bernstein, especially because it's told through a flashback. I guess you could quickly lose sight of that, but it's told through a like memoir interview kind of thing at starting from the very beginning and ending on it through his perspective of how Felicia was experiencing him. And so there's this self-awareness in Leonard of him being a douchebag. But it's really cool that we see the film, we see the sequence kind of play out through Felicia's eyes for the most part, because she's having to deal with this super flamboyant and person kind of guy. He's becoming an uber celebrity. He's one of the most sought after professor adjacent people in the United States, right? While at the same time she wants to kind of pursue a similar performative career, and she's unfortunately having to live in his shadow. And I think we get a lot of that really coolly captured through the cinematography.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, it's a really cool film from that angle. I don't know what it is about when something's fresh, it feels like it's good. I don't like that connection. You know how we've poked fun at and have even embraced the essence of, but it's a really neat way of storytelling, I guess, that we have this layered perspective, because it is his perspective of her perspective. And other biopics I feel like are a little bit more cut and dry, and oftentimes a little more objective, where we see the life play out, like Elvis and stuff.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of that a little bit, there wasn't a lot of his actual composing and conducting of the music and the genius that we have here that she fell in love with. We don't have that, which I kind of found it, like you said, like this kind of new take on it, because I'm not very familiar with kind of classical symphonic biopic music.
Sure. You don't listen to Eric Satie?
Who? Excuse you?
Bless you.
But I guess the closest that came to my mind was Tar.
Yeah, of course.
And just kind of how she was depicted, and she was that genius that I was like, oh my god, okay, like,
over the top.
Yes, this girl is wow.
It was almost the opposite perspective.
Yeah.
Of this film.
Yeah, exactly. And we didn't get any of that here, which I like that. We focused on the bad and the good, the ugly,
Yeah, totally. I like to bring it up every so often, maybe more off the record, but the restraint it's kind of a funny thing, because is there restraint in A Star Is Born? Maybe you could angle it that way, but I think the restraint here is much more apparent, because we get those glimpses of his excellentness. We see the interviews. We start off with him being interviewed.
Yeah.
It's like, what? This man's being interviewed. We see people, validating his whole existence constantly and stuff in little ways. The parties thrown for him, and
yeah, his house, his pool.
Yeah. But the restraint to give us, he is God's gift to humanity or whatever, to the music scene, is really awesome. It's really cool, I think, that especially towards the end, which is my favorite scene. I guess we're just gonna hop right into this.
All right.
Where it's maybe the obvious kind of spectacle scene, and I am a victim of liking it along with probably many others, and is when we see Felicia, or I guess we're kind of next to Felicia watching him doing his big performative piece in like a church, a big cathedral or something.
The Resurrection Symphony.
Yeah.
In a church, yeah.
And we see like most of that through her eyes, or next to her. And we see a little bit of it close up on him, and we see him sweating and stuff, and it's really crazy and awesome. Especially because I think when it starts off, we're in the back, and we zoom in on him, and then we zoom back out from a different angle onto Felicia, or behind Felicia.
Yeah.
And it's really cool.
It's like it's an awesome reveal, because they had just had a fight, and she had just told him, your heart is ugly, and you think things have ended, but here she is. And I don't know. Yeah, I'm right there with you. It's an awesome reveal. We know it's her without seeing her. We just see her back, her dress, the back of her hair.
Man, and it's even better than that first. I guess to me, it's even better than at first glance, because she's not just attending, the performance. She's not just in the audience. She's not front row or anything. She's kind of obfuscated by the crowd and off to the side and not really getting the best angle. She's, kind of, symbolically maybe in his shadow, like she has been for the whole movie. And so I like that that climax of their relationship, really. Like this is really who you are in the greater scheme of you and Lenny. You're never going to be able to eclipse him.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of thing. But I think it's just such a great demonstration of such an interesting way to tell this kind of story, a biopic style story, especially against Tar last year. It's so interesting because we see the demise of, Lydia Tarr's relationships constantly, right? She's a bitch. She is not a nice person. But that's because she's so obsessed, with her work. And
yeah.
she's going to walk on anyone to get there, to get to be on top and stuff. So I guess that scene is at the forefront of my mind. Those are kind of my preliminary thoughts. What do you think of this movie?
Yeah, this movie was pleasantly entertaining. I mean, I had no idea about this movie in the first place. And you put it on, we got started, and it instantly gave me, Tar vibes. Because we have this guy being interviewed about his music, and, I'm like, okay, this, phenomenal composer or whatever, music dude.
All of it. Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah. And we're about to see his phenomenal life. And it wasn't. It was surprisingly a different spin on all that genius and fame. I thought the performances were absolutely amazing, along with the dialogue and the cinematography, just top notch. I did have an issue with some of the minor performances, but we can talk about that in a second. I liked what this movie was trying to say. I don't know if I fully grasped exactly what Bradley Cooper was trying to say with this movie, but at least I got my own spin on it, and I like that. I like the challenges that this movie presented with these characters about being in a marriage and kind of getting old, and just kind of a scary take on it, just watching these two go through life together. So I really enjoyed that story. I mean, even the makeup and the costumes were pretty great. I had no idea that was Bradley Cooper when he popped on the screen. I thought he looked familiar. And just, when you get old, you kind of all start looking the same.
Mm-hmm,
so
sure.
he kind of gave me Henry Ford vibes, and I don't know who else vibes. Maybe Bill Nye, the science guy vibes.
Sure. Oh, yeah, Bill Nye. I could see that.
And I couldn't place it. But, those eyes. We talked about his eyes last episode. The eyes were here until you told me. And I was just amazed how he looked. Not only in his, early years, but
him as a grown-ass man. And I don't know how I felt about the pacing of the film.
It's a fast movie.
Yes.
We cover even more time here than A Star Is Born. But somehow, surprise, surprise, through writing and performances and chemistry, you sell the whole situation a little better. It kind of makes A Star Is Born look a little weaker in the kind of rearview mirror.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. We move at a crazy speed, but I think in those moments of the pacing feeling a little like, how many years has it been since this scene to this scene, like 2 minutes apart and stuff, kind of thing, you need to remind yourself, which I think is a little bit of a fault of the movie, maybe could have been cleaned up with some narration or something, is you quickly lose sight of that this is told by Lenny as an old man. And so there's it's these are basically chapters in this memoir or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. It definitely gets a little fast. And I feel like that could have been cleaned up pretty easily with narration.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Maybe I'd have to see it played out to be on board for that. But
or maybe a chapter title card type thing, like we see.
Maybe. Because at some points I was confused on what was happening or who was with what or when, but after the fact it became glaringly obvious what had happened. At that moment I didn't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not too mad at it.
Yeah, me too. Especially because, like you kind of just said, that it catches you up pretty quick. So maybe there's a little legwork the director, Bradley Cooper, wants you to kind of do for yourself and trying to keep you on your toes and keep you paying attention of like exactly what's happening and what does their relationship look like right now? What is exactly going on with their careers and stuff? And so there's a little maybe a little bit of expectation Bradley Cooper has for his audience here.
Yeah.
So, and that's hard not to appreciate. I like it. Obviously, there's films that require a lot of legwork that it maybe comes across X, Y, and Z, pretentious, just nonsense. I'm not sure. But I'm with you with that. I wanted to mention before we got too far away from it, the prosthetics are done by Kazuhiro. He's also the guy who did Jim Carrey's Grinch. Yeah. But he so one of the big, other than the old man prosthetics that that Bradley Cooper's got on, he put a nose on Bradley Cooper to I guess make him appear a little bit more of Jewish descent. And I guess I was reading that was a little controversial.
Yeah, I too came across that.
Which I thought was bizarre.
That's how controversial it is, that we both came across the same thing.
Yeah.
Almost instantly for me. And people are complaining about the nose. But it's one of those situations where people are complaining about people complaining. I didn't see anybody actively complain, just people saying that they're seeing other people complain.
Well, I've got a complainer right here,
right.
And she's got a solution too.
Oh, okay, cool.
Apparently, the British actor and activist Tracy Ann Oberman had something to say about the aesthetics of his nose and maybe other small parts, jowls or something. I'm not sure, but especially the nose, I think, is the target here.
Okay.
If Cooper needs to wear a prosthetic nose, then that is, to me and many others, the equivalent of blackface or yellowface. If Bradley Cooper can't play the role through the power of acting alone, then don't cast him. Get a Jewish actor. Does that make sense? Should I reread that?
No, that made complete sense.
And what I have to say to Tracy is, fuck you. That's dumb as shit.
That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Yeah, I saw one guy call it, he saw someone call it anti-Semitic.
Yeah, okay.
I was like, no. Did you not watch it? Did you not watch the film?
I mean, Felicia did say he had hate in his heart.
Yeah, you're right. She knew all along.
How dare you call a Jew hateful?
And while we're at it, why did we even make the Grinch green? That's blackface.
Yeah, sort of.
Let's cancel the Grinch while we're at it, man. That's so stupid. That's so... Oh, my God. Don't people know that intent is everything?
Especially in art, yeah. I mean, this, yes. I don't get some people's obsession with this idea that it's hateful or racist or some kind of cultural appropriation if a New Yorker plays some German or some Hispanic looking person plays some Indian person, you know? Like
Mm-hmm.
if they have a similar aesthetic and they can accentuate it like with a nose or something, right, to kind of help sell the look of it. I don't understand what the issue is because that's not Bradley Cooper in there. You know, that's Lenny, right?
Yeah, like Jack Black and Nacho Libre.
Oh, it's a great example.
Did he get any hate?
I don't know. It's
I
a
don't
great
know.
example.
Yeah, I'm gonna look into that. But
And do you want to see Bradley Cooper over and over and over again, like Bradley Cooper? Or is it not super fucking cool if he changes something about himself? Some people change their body weight crazy, right? Some people wear prosthetics on their body to make them huge, like the guy from The Whale.
yes,
Isn't that like part of the amazing experience of filmmaking? Like you can't really do that in theater, you know?
even he got hate for being fat phobic.
Which is insane.
Yeah, I mean, did Bradley Cooper get any hate in the first movie because he didn't actually kill himself?
That's a good point. Did he get any hate because he wasn't actually an alcoholic?
Or because he wasn't a musician?
Did he get any hate? I didn't see this, but did he get any hate for playing a gay person?
Yeah, that's a great example.
Did he get any hate for losing his best friend and The Hangover? They just pick and choose.
Have you actually lost someone, Bradley?
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, it's such a silly thing. Such a silly thing. I mean, even getting into voice acting. Bradley, are you a raccoon, my friend?
It's a good point. Good point.
You ever been one? It's so stupid. I don't understand. And it's just a nose. You know, I don't know what other Jewish characteristics besides
the curly hair. Maybe.
Okay, I mean, a lot of people have curly hair.
Half the world maybe
Yeah.
has somewhat curly hair.
Dark curly hair. Yeah, that's a lot of people. Maybe a little
The yarmulke.
Yeah, that thing. Maybe a little yarmulke.
Mm-hmm.
You know, make it just stick. You know, I don't know. It's very, very stupid for people to instantly jump there. Like, how are you just gonna limit artists like that? And that's such a good point because in the beginning of the film, we start off with a quote by Lenny himself that a work of art does not answer questions, it provokes them. Here's the lady getting provoked, I guess. I guess he got what he wanted. Maybe not exactly what he wanted, but
I think it is exactly what he wanted. She just wasted her shot, kind of thing.
Damn.
You need to pick and choose your battles of argumentation because not everybody's going to listen forever. You know, you have your moment and you need to use it for all it's worth. And she decided to waste it on that nose is fucking racist. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't know. Bradley Cooper might be Jewish.
yeah.
But it's none of your fucking business either. Like I know there's, this whole angle in celebrities of them kind of their lives being in the spotlight. So we probably know a lot about a lot of celebrities more than, regular people. Well, until you get on Facebook, I guess. But you don't know anything about Bradley Cooper. Like why? I guess it's no different than people on going to Twitter, flocking to Twitter to call someone hateful in one way or another, and it's just like you don't know these people, and it's insane. It's insane. I'm really surprised by the backlash on that. I guess it is the whale of 2023.
Yep.
Because it came out even at the similar time.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, it's so unfortunate that that's what you focus on. And I like that you said that. That's what she fucking wasted her shot on. Saying something stupid. Man.
And obviously that existed in the time of Lenny, and there's an underlying message in what you just said, Lenny said, his quote there. It's like the second half that goes unspoken, really, and it is that. But how you say it is just as important as what you say, and you need to make it count, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that goes unspoken from any orator or editorial kind of oriented person that realizes how powerful criticism can be, or just wisdom in general can be. So that's silly. It's silly. It's at the end of the day.
Yep. I
guess to a nice insult to injury, these people are injuring themselves. It would be cool if the insult was a makeup win at the Oscars.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
For Maestro.
I bet you they're getting nominated.
Yeah, I bet they get nominated too.
Yeah.
A nom is, in my eyes, enough. I don't think the win changes much, but a win would be like, oh, they'd be so mad. It'd be so funny.
The Oscar supports racism.
Oh, I'm sure it's already been said.
Yeah. Very true. I'm sure they said it with the whale.
Yeah.
But besides the makeup and prosthetics, I really liked the costumes here. And just, I don't know, I think they did a great job capturing the time period they were in, which with each decade we're in,
yeah.
I guess.
I guess it takes place over, 30, 40 years, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess, yeah, at least 40 years.
Yeah, because they have the kids.
They get old.
And I just like how, I don't know, I like how spiffy he looked. I really like that. In the scene after they have their fight, we get Lenny dressed in the weirdest looking outfit. He's no longer spiffy. And I like that nice little touch they did there, because I think they mentioned at one point that Felicia is the one that dresses him. Mm-hmm. She's the one that makes him look the way he looks. And without her, he would look crazy. And he did. He was wearing jeans and a horizontal striped shirt, which we all know that's a no-no. It makes you look fat, Lenny. And the little thing around his neck. Oh my god. I love that nice little touch. I really like that this movie was trying to tell us how his story is not so simple. And kind of how everyone's relationships has ups and downs and secrets. And just the tolerance that goes into a relationship. And the fear, but also the comfort. And I don't know, that just really spoke to me, how they were there for one another through all these years. And I don't know if it was out of love or out of obsession from her idolizing him,
or almost somewhat codependency in their careers, because whether they liked it or not, it seemed like they inspired each other, and so they needed each other on that level.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's the idea of it, right? It's so many things. It's not so simple, because they're also friends.
Mm-hmm.
And going through the cancer and the, him just being a fucking jackass and not valuing what he said about hiding his relationships, affairs, kind of flaunting them. And it's just so messy. And it's that messiness we needed from A Star Is Born. Here's the messiness. And I like that.
Yeah. And the messiness here is really fun and character driven, because it feels so arrogant.
Mm-hmm.
And so self-centered. And then, A Star Is Born, it would have worked really well if it was loud and throwing and breaking shit, just much more passionate on that level. And here it feels like it's much more complicated than A Star Is Born could ever be.
Yeah.
These characters are much more cultured and developed than your whatever the fuck you have in A Star Is Born. I don't even know what to say. I want to say, your 15-year-old couple, but
not even. At least they're more passionate.
Yeah.
But I have a quote here from Lenny, the real Leonard himself.
Let me hear that.
He said, "Marriage is the experience of all time and reveals more to me about myself than anything else ever has." Which I can see Bradley Cooper's inspiration here from that quote. And it's kind of scary. And not to go into a rant about marriage itself, but no wonder people get divorced. Because it just shows you what you can become.
It shows you what you will become at times. You
And-
can't hide it.
Yeah, and it's so scary.
And that's one really cool thing about the movie, and through some of Lenny's dialogue, that it requires to do something like that, like getting married, it requires like a proper friend, really.
Mm-hmm.
You absolutely, by all means necessary, need to be best friends with someone you experience life like that with. I guess it probably happens all the time, but two people get married and they aren't really part of each other's life other than by living in the same house or
Splitting bills,
sharing the same last name. Yeah, splitting bills. But that's one thing I like about this movie is there seems to be this intent on showing us the codependency of two artists being each other's muse.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't go without even more of a price than marriage itself, because you have to go through the struggles of being an artist and trying to, I guess, outdo yourself time and time again, while also being married to that person, So it's just like, it's deeply complicated. This relationship is, that dynamic is.
Yeah.
And I don't know exactly how I feel about it, but it makes me, I just can't get it out of my mind that this is Felicia's perspective through Lenny's perspective, because he's telling the story. And so even though we see this arrogant, childlike, overly playful at times, genius, who struggles at doing, normal human things, keep maintaining the connections he needs to, but realizing that and being able to share that with others on the record, and kind of making Felicia look like the hero in his life that kept him grounded. So it really sticks out in my mind because of that. Because I can't get that out of my head. I just, if you cut the top and bottom off of this movie, it would probably be fine without him being old sections where he's being interviewed.
Mm-hmm.
But because those are our bookends, I just can't help but to try to place the film through his voice, and so it makes it really empathetic and sad in retrospect. At least, it's very
he's
sad.
Reminiscing.
Yeah, even even the bad times are good because she's gone.
Mm-hmm. And it's so sweet.
Yeah.
How are you gonna write a better love story here? God damn.
Yeah, I don't know who wrote A Star Is Born. I guess the story is kind of as old as time, especially in Hollywood years, right?
Yep, but he supposedly put his own spin on it.
Yeah. But it is surprising that he was able to take something much more complicated and make it much more romantic without any of that gross romance, but we still have it.
Yes.
It's so bizarre. That's
especially when he could have gone the very obvious way. Let's idolize this guy. Let's make him grand and glamour and whatnot.
And they did, but they didn't. It's just a nice balance. It really is.
Yes.
And I can't overstate it. The emphasis on Felicia's character, I should say, the emphasis on us experiencing his grandeur through Felicia, I don't know, makes it really tasteful.
Yeah.
It humanizes it. It's good. It's really nice.
Yes. I want to talk about here for a little bit about some dialogue that stuck out to me. And it's Felicia saying this to Lenny. If summer doesn't sing in you, then nothing sings in you. And I don't know why it stuck out, but it was so depressing when she told him that. I don't know. I'm sure there's something there that I'm not fully capturing, but just her kind of breakdown, it emphasizes a little bit her breakdown with living with a person like Lenny. And I'm not sure how long after this we have that scene where she jumps in the pool after he says, he finished writing Mass, and she jumps in the pool. And it was just a weird scene. It was weird, her doing that. And almost like she can't take it anymore. And I don't know. I in my mind, I tied that dialogue with that scene. But then again, it's something she said to him to help him get his spirits up.
Yeah, I took it as a warning in that he's losing that fire in him, and that turned what we, I guess, would later find out into hate briefly.
Mm-hmm.
Or at times, I should say. And I can't really say exactly what I think it means. It feels like it's an aphorism without that second punch. But it does, I'm not sure if it's the performance or just everything that lead up to this point, but it just furthers this history these two characters have with each other. And it's almost like that was something that he said to her when they first met during one of their passionate adventures, but we never heard it, obviously, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like this, I don't know, like symbolic kind of pride and joy thing that he carries around in the wallet of his heart, you know? And she kind of is attacking it because of him losing a little bit of himself.
Yeah, and I guess around that point in time, they were talking about kids. I don't know. We don't get a lot of the relationship with him and his kids, especially at a younger age. But I can see someone with his history and his personality having kids kind of cramping his style, you know, kind
Yeah,
of
totally.
deal. So I wonder if there's something there too. But yeah, it's definitely a moment that stuck out, especially with something so kind of beautifully said.
It's funny how an excellent performance can drive something home that, if said by someone like Lady Gaga, you'd be just like, why the fuck did you say that?
Yeah. That's funny. That's funny. That's good. Like, all right, Lady Gaga, we know you like to party during your summers. I don't know, you know?
It just goes to show you how important all of the moving parts are with relation to one another.
Yeah.
Nothing's acting on its own. They're all, especially in a movie where we see so much body language and emotion, right? It's all, it's so familiar to us, no matter what's happening on screen. As long as there's human beings moving about, we're going to connect with them in some way or another. If you're paying attention, I guess. If you don't give a shit, you don't give a shit. You know, you're just not there for it. Yeah, I like that.
How did you feel about the intro scene where we have young Lenny gets a phone call that he's gonna be conducting because the other dude fell sick, and we get this giant window, and then the music starts, and you know, he plays the drums on some booty and then goes running down the stage, or to the stage.
In his jammies.
And his jammies, yes. I absolutely loved it. I didn't know what I was in for, but I was in for it. I loved that the giant window looked like a stage. I thought it was a stage for a split second. And then he got up and answered the phone, and I'm like, wait, I think he's in a room. He's not. The proportions aren't here for a stage. The phone call, and then he busts the curtains open, and then the music, and then the running and the excitement. And I was completely in for it. I loved it.
That's good to hear. I'm glad it hooked you so fast. I thought it was an excellent intro. I thought the intro was when they were sitting in the grass. I guess that's right after they met. That's where the movie. I guess that's where the trailer starts. I think when they're sitting in the grass. So that's at the front of my mind with this movie. You also get an immediate flex of cinematography in that intro section. You're just like, oh shit, this isn't your normal Netflix fare. This isn't your normal movie fare, really, in general. It's an awesome intro. I don't know what else to say about it. It's just a really great hook. They set you up aesthetically. They set you up without any weird dialogue. We're kind of in this objective view of seeing the room, and it's very almost symmetrical, or symmetrically down kind of the middle, and he's somewhat pacing a little bit in front of the window, and you're just like, what's going on? And the room's kind of chaotic looking. It's not clean. And then the cinematography takes off and starts moving, and it's just awesome. It's a great hook of an intro.
Yes, I loved it. I loved how fun it was to watch.
Yeah, that's a great way to describe it. It was extremely fun to watch. That's kind of actually funny to say too, because I wouldn't say biopic movies, which you could argue this kind of borders
Sure.
into being something a little bit different. But like I've said many times before, the greatest things are never just one thing. They transcend genre and medium. But it was fun. And this whole movie was mostly fun. I shouldn't say the whole movie. This movie was mostly fun, especially when we were kind of on the move with Lenny and Felicia, when we weren't having to deal with their problems in the later half. It was fun. Camera work was nuts. I'm really surprised at how, I think it's the same DP from A Star Is Born, which is crazy because A Star Is Born is shot pretty well. It's probably the best or second best part of the movie. That's not saying too much, but it's completely inoffensive, and it even does some really fun things, and is especially lit really well. But here we see that the leave the world behind kind of thing, but
done better.
but done much better
Yeah.
and done much more deliberate with what's happening on screen.
Yes.
We don't have the twisty and twirly fucking 90 angle nonsense and
For nothing.
It's moving with Lenny. It's
Yes.
moving with the music.
With his excitement, yeah.
With his excitement, yeah. We don't see the Teslas all piled up and then we fucking flip the camera upside down. It's like, that's cool. And it's like, I mean, yeah, it's cool to watch, but like, for what? Why is that happening? I don't know. But it's really, it does a good job building that interest and getting us behind Lenny as soon as possible. Like, just boom, we're with Lenny.
Yeah, it definitely sets that fun tone and like an exciting tone that we're about to have with this crazy man. This man's crazy. Everything he just did right there is all crazy. And I loved it. I guess the next scene I want to talk about is when they have their big fight on Thanksgiving. And apparently this is a lot of people's favorite scene.
Is that when they're in their room and we're kind of...
Yes, and we see Snoopy in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And this is when she calls him, when she tells him that he has hate in his heart.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And she also says, which I absolutely loved this quote, she says, "You will die a lonely old queen." And it made me laugh. It was so funny. Yeah, apparently this scene was just shot with one angle the whole time. They didn't have any kind of backup angle on the scene. And it was a choice that Bradley Cooper wanted to stick with.
I like that you bring up this scene because it's one of the really powerful scenes in the movie. Overtly so, right? It's got
apparently. I'm like, well, I just see Snoopy and I laugh that he called him an old queen.
Yeah, but they're kind of really laying it on thick, but affluently, right?
Yeah.
Like fucking classy people do. Were we watching Downton Abbey? Didn't someone say that? Wait.
No, that was Gossip Girl.
That was Gossip Girl. Excuse me, I'm getting my shit mixed up. That was funny when Blair's mom said that, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. And run that scene through your head through Lenny's perspective of telling the story. He's telling it as objective as possible. He's by and large telling Felicia's perspective and her story on the matter. But in this instance, he's describing a scene of just pure emotion from both parties. And I think that's obviously that's intentional, but Lenny's telling that perspective intentionally because he doesn't want his audience, the interview people, it's just some layers happening here of storytelling, right? He doesn't want his audience, the interviewers, to get the wrong idea that Felicia is being extra in any way or another. So I think that might be one reason people are liking it a lot. I don't know, but it seems to me that Lenny went out of his way in that scene to make sure that we know Lenny is a pain in her ass right now, or and has been.
So like not to take sides on who's the bad guy. Oh, okay.
So I think that's cool. In that scene, I don't really know why. Maybe it's just the shot. Every still shot of a room reminds me of Funny Games now. So it reminded me of Funny Games. It's not like Funny Games. That shit's scary. This was not scary.
Yeah, I know Bradley Cooper mentioned in an interview that, and he was more specifically talking about a fighting scene they had by the pool or near the pool, related to the pool, and how he wanted to shoot some of the fighting scenes like we were kind of peeking in on them, like observing them, kind of like someone who doesn't like watching people fight, but you kind of got to see what they're fighting about. So he wanted to give that illusion of us kind of being nosy on what's going on. So I don't know if this is a scene that happened in.
This one's definitely not. We're in the room with them, and we are sitting in that chair.
Oh no,
looking at them, because it wasn't obscured by anything. That's
true.
gonna be a big telltale of that. I don't remember anything like that.
I think when Felicia was telling him that Jamie, is that her name? One of the kids who's played by the Stranger Things girl.
Oh yeah.
That Jamie heard some rumors and he needed to address them. And we were a little bit obscured in that scene, because he like walked, taking his pants off or something, and she sat down and like kind of put her head in her hand and was just like aggravated, and like she's like, please, don't tell her the truth. That was that scene. And
Okay.
I think I do remember us being a little bit not in the room. We were definitely peeking in on them there.
That's cool. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, I didn't either until he said it in the interview, and I was like, "Oh, genius!"
Yeah, you gotta. I'm gonna try to do better, guys. When watching films, you gotta think about where you are in relation to what's happening.
But sometimes things are just so juicy.
Yeah,
you're not thinking about.
That's true.
I'm not. I'm
true.
hearing that her daughter just found out this messiness that the dad is bringing to this family. Like, I'm not thinking about where I am, or the lighting, or
That's why I've always heard that you should always watch the movie again right after on mute.
Oh shit! I don't have time for that.
If you're studying a movie, always watch it once fresh, and then the second time right after with no audio. I've never done that, but
that'd be interesting to do. That'd be a fun experiment.
Well, I take that back. I've watched several Clint Eastwood movies without any audio.
Okay.
So, and there are different experiences.
That's funny you say that.
That was my first time watching though, without any audio. I never saw him with audio, so I don't even know what was really happening.
Oh shit! All right.
Yeah. This is what I'm talking about. There's something brewing in Bradley Cooper.
Yes.
There is. He's not a normal director. He's.
Yeah, I mean, while we're here, while we're talking about the man himself, I love that the way he went about this movie was go big or go home. Because apparently it took him 6 years to learn how to conduct an orchestra so he could do that big Resurrection Symphony in that church. And out of those 6 years, 3 of those years, the New York Philharmonics let him come in 5 days a week so he could watch. Just watch. And he went for 3 years. Like, no wonder you didn't do shit. You didn't do anything else. I'm sorry, you took 6 years just to do a 5-minute, however long that was, piece? Which was real, by the way. He actually conducted that. He had a live orchestra, and he did the movements, and they did what he told them to do.
Holy shit.
I know.
You know who else does shit like this?
Who?
Robert Eggers, the guy who did The Witch, The Lighthouse, and The Northman.
Oh my god.
Where we have a new man entering the pantheon of great directors.
Yeah, he said that it took 2 days to shoot that.
That one scene?
That one scene.
Wow.
I think it was like 5-6 minutes. 7 max.
That orchestra was probably so fucking tired. I mean, they probably play a lot. A full-time orchestra, a professional orchestra who, does that for a living. I mean, I can't imagine the work schedule, but they probably play 12 hours a day anyway, so maybe not any different than a normal work day for them.
I don't know.
But including practice and performing.
That's probably true.
So I don't really know, but that's awesome. That reminds me of the guy who did The Witch, Robert Eggers, who basically did a dissertation in how people of the, I think, early 1600s would talk in the Boston area.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it took him 5 years.
That's nuts. I mean, Bradley Cooper here went all out on learning everything about Leonard Bernstein. I watched an interview with him and some of the cast members and even Steven Spielberg. So I watched maybe like 3 interviews, and in one of them they mentioned how he had actual clothes like that belonged to this man that he would wear just to get, I don't know, inspired. I don't know, to smell like him, to feel his energy that he left behind on this earth. And it's crazy. I mean, even how he changes his voice throughout the film. And this part's funny because I noticed that his voice, as he got older in the film, was more nasally. And I thought it was just Bradley Cooper kind of, in some moments, forgetting that they sounded, old-timey, not nasally. But apparently, Leonard Bernstein in real life had a deviated septum at one point in his life. So that's why some of the nasalness came out in his voice. I was like, what? Who does that? We don't care.
We do.
But we do.
That's awesome.
It is awesome.
It's hard to get behind. I'm sure some of these folks are kidding, but to say in earnest that Bradley Cooper is desperate for an Oscar,
I don't know, man. I think he's just having fun.
I think he's just passionate about
Yes.
filmmaking, and it's just a matter of time until that moment comes.
Yeah, I agree. One last thing I want to add is that, and you might be able to help me more on this, or help our audience understand, and me,
Maybe.
there was no digital work in the film.
Wow. So this was all caught on film.
Yes, and apparently there was no ADR, which stands for Automated Dialogue Replacement.
Hmm.
I didn't know what ADR was, but Spielberg was raving about it.
ADR is one of these mystical things that happen in film. And depending on who you talk to, they will tell you everything is re-recorded in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
Like people, film aficionados and stuff. And it's hard to know, right? Every production is different. Every studio's got their secrets, and everybody...
Yeah.
A lot of people don't even know that that's a thing that happens.
I just found out like 2 months ago.
I've caught some bad re-recordings, ADR, here and there while watching stuff.
Mm-hmm.
A Star is Born might be a good example, actually, that we recently watched. I think all of Bobby's dialogue was ADR. Was ADR'd? Is it a verb? And I don't think his was bad, but I think you can kind of hear it in his percussionness, because when you look at him, his mouth is not moving. He's real cowboy and everything. He's grunting and everything, and so we need to get a mic right up under his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to do that in the studio. And I think I'd be surprised if that wasn't. I'd be really surprised, I guess. And that's not a bad example. It's I think it is just an example that they used nothing but ADR in. But that's kind of one of those feats, those techniques that only is really going to stroke, the people who have experience doing it and stuff. And so like someone like Spielberg, who's made 35 films,
Yeah,
maybe more, I'm not even sure. God, I'm sure that's like, damn, that's crazy. That's crazy stuff.
Was raving.
Yeah, it's a big deal. It's a massive deal. And if he was raving, maybe we should take that as most productions have some ADR. Maybe we should take it at that.
Yeah.
I will say ADR is like the techniques they do and stuff. They're fucking good. They fool me. I'm looking for them. I've been looking for them for a while.
They fooled me. 20-some years of my life.
I think they fool most people.
Yeah.
So I kind of go back and forth. Like, I'm just in that disbelief, I guess. There's no fucking way all of this is re-recorded. So I don't know. That's cool, though. That's very fucking cool.
Yeah.
And that's just another example of Bradley Cooper as a director needs some recognition. And this film's getting it. It's gotten it. It's winning all kinds of shit. It's nominated for all kinds of shit. So
yeah, it's after doing my research and after this film and doing my research, it's hard not to love him.
Yeah.
This Candyman.
The Candyman. The Candyman can. I was watching too much Wonka. That's why that came out.
Okay.
The last episode.
Well, now he's my Candyman, so he's got a title. But no, I mean it's amazing, all the work that went into this, and I mean I could have done way more research because apparently him and his co-star
Carey Mulligan.
Yes, they went on a retreat, a 2-week retreat to build their connection, and that's kind of where they got the idea for them to sit back to back that they do in the film. They got it from that retreat they went on. I mean, there's so much stuff here. And he's so open about it, too. He's willing to interview with a lot of people and talk about it. And you can tell he's so passionate about it. So, I don't know how that doesn't tell people that it's not just for getting an Oscar.
Yeah, and I don't know what the harm is in thinking you deserve one. It's aspiring to being in the position to be considered for one. You
Also
know,
true.
that's not a problem in my book at all. I think that just means that kind of like what Bradley Cooper was saying or Jack was saying in A Star Is Born, if you have something, you need to say it. You should say it. Otherwise, what are you doing? You're wasting your life.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to do that. He's on his way to doing that. He has done that, I think, with Maestro. I think Maestro is an excellent film.
Yes, for sure.
It really runs into the ceiling of not being my kind of movie for it to be, in the upper echelon of my favorites kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. There's a scene when he's screaming into the pillow that made me tear up a little bit.
That last section is emotional.
Yes.
It's powerful section, yeah.
It's like, well, what happened here? Where's the fun? So I like that. I like that it gave me that. You know me. I'm a sucker for crying moments. So I'm glad it gave me some of that. But
it also humanizes this arrogant motherfucker. You know?
Yeah, it does. And one of his biggest fears is to be alone. And here's his partner dying. God damn, that's
right in front of him.
Only thing I can't stop and help.
Yeah.
So he's got to learn to fucking be okay with that. So I mean, yeah, it's an awesome film.
Well, talk to me about that last section.
Well, first of all, can we talk about that doctor and how fast
I love that
he told them the news? Like, dude didn't do the compliment sandwich kind of deal.
That's a modern thing.
Oh, that's a modern thing. Yeah. Well, I can tell.
He was an old doctor.
He was like, "Well, you're dying."
It's like, what? Hold on. And he's telling you what's wrong, and he's like, what they're gonna do. He's like, hold up. What was that first sentence?
I got a what in my where? That was cool. I didn't expect that. Yes, modern doctors are like, okay, well, we found something in your scans.
Can we get you a Coke?
Yes. And then they're immediately together the whole time. And he even cancels his performances for her. Like, wow, dude, you're gaining some brownie points right now.
Yeah.
It was awesome. It was so emotional. And Carey Mulligan, I mean, she did a phenomenal job. She did a phenomenal job the whole film, don't get me wrong. But seeing her just kind of get weaker and breaking down when she's not really that person, especially in front of people. She's her best self in front of people. She's fun in front of people. And I mean, even during one of her visitations, she's like, no more visitors. I can't do this. Oh my God, it was so good.
Again, I like how we're being told this story through the perspective of Lenny and how, he's the spotlight for the majority of their life together, right? But we're seeing it through Felicia, but then all of a sudden Felicia becomes the spotlight of Lenny's life.
It's so sweet.
Yeah.
It's so sweet.
And it's such a humanizing moment, and they stick on it for a minute. They probably stick on it for 25 minutes.
Yeah.
30 minutes maybe the last third of the movie. I'm not sure.
It's like Felicia got kind of what she was waiting for from him. It's unfortunate that it took cancer to get him there, but
yeah, it's fucked up and sweet at the same time, because it's just like, god damn, she's the most important thing now, but it's at the worst time.
mm-hmm.
It's like it's too little. It's like almost a too little, too late type thing. But they don't let that feeling come up. They focus on the love
Yeah.
of the family, because they could have spun it where Felicia was just bitter about, well, now I'm gonna die. You know, I didn't have
My moment.
my moment in this relationship.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they handle a lot of the situation, a lot of her demise so playfully at times that it's just like they just continue to humanize the situation and Lenny by being just loving and playful.
Mm-hmm. And it's how he wants to remember Felicia in her last moments. I also really like the scene right after her death when Lenny is a teacher and he has this kind of like fun, playful moment with this kid. And then, they're at a club dancing and he just looks so nasty. And I like that. I like how nasty they make him look and just kind of perverted and just I don't know how else to describe it. Even the song that they play while they're dancing is just I don't even know. But I like it. It's kind of that same fun that we have in the beginning of the film.
Yeah.
But a different spin on it.
Yeah, totally. No, absolute fucking lutely, man. It's well said.
I love it.
It just continues to humanize Lenny's character in that just because Felicia died doesn't mean his whole being is now something else.
Right.
He's still this flirtatious, arrogant, bombastic motherfucker, you know? He's gonna continue doing the shenanigans he's always done, as long as he can afford to do them. And he's in a great position to do them. He was working at some great college, I'm sure.
Yes.
And he gets the validation every day, and but then it ends with to wrap up the interview, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And so we're reminded, even in his later years, that he's having to relive at least his favorite parts of him and Felicia's relationship. I mean, and he remembers them so well, apparently, that he probably thinks about them daily, you know?
Yeah. Here's the love story I didn't get with A Star is Born right here. And it's too sad.
Did you cry?
I teared up when he was screaming into his pillow. Just, I guess that is a very relatable moment. Who hasn't screamed into their pillow when they're just so frustrated?
Yeah, that's a good bit.
So, that was very, very well done. And I think that's about it on tearing up.
There's not a lot of gut punches for the cry. They linger on Felicia's death so you can embrace and process and, totally just, when it happens, you can be like, all right, I'm good. I'm good. And then I also like the quick transition into the kids running out of the house after, she passes.
Yeah.
That was good. It was also good in A Star is Born, too, I will say, where he shuts the garage and he hangs himself somehow in the garage. I don't know how
with a belt.
Yeah, but how does what mechanically happened? Was he hooked up to the garage and he shut it and it hanged him? Is that what happened?
Yes, chain, I think.
Yeah, I don't want to think about that too much. I don't feel like that could lift him, but I don't know. But then we see through the garage, kind of far off and stuff, and it's good.
Yeah, I was like, is that his body? Is that? Excuse me?
Yeah, it's funny. All right, man. Well, thank you for watching this movie and talking about it here today. I enjoyed this.
You're welcome. I too enjoyed this.
Do you have a budget guess for me?
I do. My budget guess is $70 million. But being Netflix, you tell me.
If I had to guess, this movie is probably more of the $50 million budget.
Oh,
That's what I'm
okay.
saying. That's my guess. But yeah, there's Netflix. They don't release that kind of information. They don't want anyone knowing. They don't want any other production knowing how much money each of them get. They don't want the public knowing how much people are potentially getting paid, right? They don't want anyone knowing that there's no money to spare in their Netflix productions. They don't want anyone knowing that they're constantly at a loss. So, makes them look weak.
All right.
So,
Netflix.
so we don't
I
know.
see you.
We don't, yeah. I see you, motherfucker.
I just doubled what A Star Is Born is.
Oh,
or
okay.
was, and doubled it. That's where I got my number.
That seems high for Netflix for some reason.
Okay.
But I don't know, because we also had Martin Scorsese and Steven Spielberg producing this. They can bring in the money, either themselves or that they got the leverage.
That's true.
Speaking of which, Scorsese was originally going to be the director of this.
Oh.
And then he got busy with The Irishman, and then Steven Spielberg stepped in briefly, and then after some...
Yeah, I think he was busy with A West Side Story.
Yeah, and well, they would have waited if he wanted it, I'm sure. But he specifically wanted Bradley Cooper
Whoa.
to direct it. He was already going to be in it, and then after, I guess, some direction Bradley Cooper gave to himself while auditioning or whatever, screening, he made the decision that Bradley Cooper should take this.
All right.
And I dare say this is much better than any Steven Spielberg joint at the last 15 years. So.
Wow, you went there. You went there.
Come on, West Side Story is
sucked.
not good. The Fablemans, it's pretty
okay.
good. Pretty good. It's okay. I like David Lynch's appearance at the end. That sells the whole movie.
Yeah,
That's all I can remember.
I like that the mom was in love with the dad's best friend.
Oh, that was hilarious.
That was
awesome.
good.
That was awesome.
That
That was Steven Spielberg's dad's best friend. That was his mom in love with his dad's best friend.
I know. That's hilarious.
That's fun.
All right, man. I'm backing you up on that statement right now, but I might retract that.
That's fine. The general consensus on Letterboxd is 3.4.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I gave it a 3.5.
You're right in the pocket.
I'm right in the pocket. I didn't feel right giving it a 4.
No, it really doesn't. I'm sitting between a 2.5 and a 3 in my mind. I'm leaning towards a 3. But like I was kind of saying earlier, there's just a ceiling for these kinds of movies. They don't speak to me like, I don't know, Banshees of Inisherin or The Whale, RRR, Godzilla.
Yeah, this was a very enjoyable, pleasant watch. I was entertained, but that's about it, Yeah. So it is what it is.
Yeah, and I'd recommend it to anyone who wants to watch a human movie.
Yep.
I think that's pretty fair. It's surprisingly low, I must say. The way the champions champion this movie, it feels like this would be a high 4.0 scored movie. But
yeah, well, maybe if he would have, changed his nose,
it's true.
Things would be different.
You're saying he was review bombed, maybe?
He was review bombed, whatever that means.
Shit.
Who's bombing his reviews? The Karens?
The
Jennifers? What was her name?
I don't know. Well, thank you guys for listening to this episode of the Filmsteins. We hope you enjoyed this. This was a good talk. Remember to leave nice reviews, comments, concerns, thoughts, and ideas over on our Patreon at patreon.com/Filmsteins. And we post every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on Patreon at patreon.com/Filmsteins, Spotify, Pandora, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, did I say that? And all the goods. All the goods. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And have a happy new year.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of the Filmsteins. Thanks for tuning in and joining us on our cinematic journey. We hope you enjoyed our discussion and gained some new insights and perspectives in the world of movies. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform, especially Patreon at patreon.com/Filmsteins, and follow us on social media for more film-related content. We love hearing from our listeners, so if you have any feedback, suggestions, movie recommendations, or book recommendations, please feel free to reach out to us. Until next time, keep watching and keep loving the magic of movies. This is the Filmsteins, signing off.